Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Made in Abyss Season 2 on Toonami. And even though I didn't like this season, mainly just like all the horrible shit that was going on, I still think it was a good season, even though it was mainly centralized to the 6th layer and stayed into what was kind of going on in this kind of whole city. And we at least definitely got interesting kind of character developments and different kind of character stories and the understandings of what crazy insanity can go on within the Abyss. Because this leads off from Reg, Rico, and Nanachi coming down from Bondrud's kind of whole kind of place and then coming in here and then trying to figure out what kind of goes on. And they see some kind of stuff from Rico's mother's notes, but they only have so much to kind of go on as they're sleeping. And then Prushka's life stone is stolen, and there's like this kind of note, so they kind of try and figure out what's kind of going on. Now, I'm pretty much going to lead up to the part where we get there to this kind of village, and then I'm going to go back into kind of the backstory, because throughout this season we get the backstory of this place and the characters, and it is completely and utterly fucked up, like just so much to the point that I know there's going to be a 3rd season, but I'm not going to review it because I'm just like, this is kind of fucked up, not really my kind of thing. But I don't think that this is bad, you know what I mean? I mean, it's trying to separate how the story is done and presented and the animation, which is beautiful, versus the content of like, holy Jesus Christ, of what's kind of going on. So they pretty much follow some stuff and they're like, what the fuck? There's even like dead animals with certain kind of hair or whatnot stuffed in them to like ward off beasts. But they're going and they get to this kind of village place and it's not affected by the curse. And you're like, what the fuck's kind of going on? And they're trying to learn about this place, learn their language, and they learn that value is a really big kind of thing. And I think that, if anything, this season might have needed a couple more episodes to kind of go more in depth with that. I mean, they explain it well enough of like, there's a system of value to value, and if things are out of value, out of proportion or whatnot, there's this kind of mechanism built into this place that kind of deals with that, because we see that like this Majikaja dude's talking about how a human child is vastly valuable and that it's inhabited by hollows and everything. So let's stop there and then go to everything that's kind of explained in the beginning, because the first episode deals with Vueko, Wazakyan, and Beloff, the 3 sages, as they're trying to go to the Abyss. And it's in the past, like a couple hundred years or whatnot. We see that Reiko was severely abused by this uncle kind of figure who was pretty much a monster, and then found this like dude with this compass that we'd seen Rico with. And then the dude, I forget exactly how he died or whatnot, or Vueko kind of dealt with him, but she's able to get the compass, and then she kind of gets hooked up with Wazakyan and the rest of them to then go on their pilgrimage to find this golden kind of city at the bottom of the Abyss. And they land, they talk with the natives, they pick up this native girl, Irimui, and the thing is, they were going to send her into the Abyss anyway because she can't have children. So she has no value to the tribe. And value and everything is an interesting kind of concept that they keep kind of like delving into with these stories, which I think is kind of interesting to see from different kind of perspectives. What do people value? What does that valuing and that desiring kind of do to people? So they're going through, we see them going through the same kind of layers that Rico and the rest of them go until they get down to the bottom layer and encounter a whole fuck ton of crazy ass shit. Well, not completely, but they pretty much didn't really have as much kind of plans as they needed to, because they weren't accounting for the curse and how ascending would screw you over, especially in this one with your loss of humanity, and they're trying to find any kind of places for water, and then the water that they're getting is pretty much making them sick and turning them into like stone or wood or something like that, and they're all getting sick from it and everything like that. before these what are they called? These kind of robots. Uh, Interference units sent from some kind of city. So hopefully they kind of like delve into more of what's kind of behind them as they talk about these like cradles of desire, and they're pretty much wish granting kind of things. It's like, yeah, you never trust that kind of shit, and that evidently it is easier for a child to utilize it than an adult. I'm like, this is why you need to get your own information before you start doing this kind of shit. However, Wazukian pretty much becomes this asshole that's trying to get everybody to survive. Now, granted, that's a good and noble goal. However, his attempt to do this is to give this to Iramui, and she uses it to have. She wants to have a body that can produce children. However, like any kind of cursed or crazy kind of thing, if you are not very specific with what you are attempting to do and accomplish, it will do whatever it deems fit, and it starts mutating her. She starts having weird animalistic kind of hollow-like children that then die almost immediately, and we see that Waco gets sick and she passes out, and we learn that Wazukian starts taking these things and making them into food and feeding them to the people. Waco is horrified. Bella completely and utterly goes insane from it. He's like, I didn't want it. Like, he's force feeding these people this. It's like, granted, I understand being sick to a point that you can't really refuse this kind of stuff. And then he's even going like, oh yeah, the fresher they are, so he doesn't even wait for them to die, and then just takes them from Iramui as she's crying and like losing the ability to speak and everything. And Waco is just horrified, and he starts utilizing even other cradles of desire on her to make her even more of a place for them to kind of live, and then she becomes the village place that our intrepid heroes come across. And Belloff offers himself to Iramui as a sacrifice, and Iramui is also utilizing her ability to eat other things to sustain herself, and that's, you can go around inside Iramui, and all these people give themselves up and become hollows. Now, granted, they are not regular hollows. They can only survive within the confines of this village. And Waco was almost like, if I kill myself, Iramui will be free from this god-awful thing. And Wazukian's like, nah, he ain't doing that. And then pretty much like locks her in his head, in her head, Iramui's head, and then has her pretty much take care of the souls of all the children of Iramui. And it's like, completely and utterly fucked up. I was like, holy jeez, this is fucking disgusting. Like, I understand trying to like help your people and everything like that, but you've literally mutated a girl so you can live inside of it, and you think this is a good idea, that that's right and just to survive like that? And it's like, fuck you, man. Like, it's good that a story can produce that kind of stuff, but I'm like, whoa. And it was like, alright. And Waco, of course, feels horrible for all these hundreds of years. And the thing is that Iramui, with the second cradle, makes her perfect daughter a Fakta, who's like an immortal princess who has much value. And we learn that she is the one that took Prushka's life stone to the village to be put into a better kind of form, so that way she could actually sing. But then, let's see. But she has the duty to try and free her mother and avenge all of her siblings and everything, even though she goes too far, in my opinion, at first with her vengeance. But the thing is, she couldn't be inside Iramui. She was outside. She hooks up with one of the interference units that protects her. Let's see. Where was I going? The children do the whole value kind of thing. She was pretty much born out. She also had come across Reg, but Reg doesn't remember her except for certain kind of feelings and everything, and that Reg had promised to help her destroy the village for what it's done. And like, I I wouldn't go complete nutty doodah like she kind of does, but these people have done something horrifically wrong and should atone for this. Like, I understand trying to survive, and I'm probably going to keep reiterating that point, but this is wrong. There are probably other avenues and other ways that you could have attempted to kind of do this, even utilizing the cradles of desire in a better kind of way than what was kind of going on. It's like, oh god. So that kind of links us up to the present as we see them kind of detailing what's kind of going on. Rico trying to figure stuff out, actually finding one of her mother's journal notes, but yet she doesn't. She'd have to like offer something to get it. This one kind of hollow creature pretty much almost kills Minya and gets fucked up by the balancing for the value and everything. Then we get this side thing where like Nanachi encounters Midi again, but of course it's not really Midi. It can't leave the village and everything, but like Nanachi offers himself to Belov to stay with Midi, and that kind of is just more of a holding pattern kind of thing. After a certain point, it just got Nanachi pretty much out of the story for almost no reason. I mean, granted, it is part of kind of like the Lotus kind of thing of he's decided to stay with Midi and not continue on the adventure. And that's a valid kind of thing. That's a cool aspect to explore. It's just they kind of disappear for a little bit. And that's where I'm almost thinking that like a couple more episodes or whatnot could have helped kind of expand upon that a little better rather than Nanachi's just sleeping for a little bit and staying with Midi. It's like, alright, I kind of get that. But they're trying to figure out what's kind of going on. Of course, Fafta wants to like go and take them on. We see that the village lures in hollow monsters and does a hunt kind of thing to eat them. And Rico decides to help them pretty much capture it and figure out what's kind of going on. Then, of course, finds Vueko as she's trying to find like Nanachi and trying to figure out how to help Nanachi, and gets her out of Iramuri's head as they're kind of walking around and seeing kind of what's going on. We see that Iramuri actually made a thing that kind of was born of Vueko's feelings towards her uncle figure thing, and it was being used to protect the village and all that, but it wasn't really working out right. Reg also went out for something and then encountered Fafta and needed a part of Fafta to pretty much trade for Nanachi, so he kind of got that, and then everything was kind of going nutty, and Rico kind of needed help, so she utilized her whistle that was made from Prushka, and she got that back, blew it. Of course, this activates Reg, showing that he has at least relics incorporated into his body, and it powers him up, and he's able to kind of like defeat this kind of thing. But he utilizes the incinerator, and that breaks down the barrier and allows Fafta to come in, and she just starts like going ham, and it gets nuts. Like the animation style for the fight scenes in this were amazing. But it's kind of like, oh god, we even get like Fafta like losing a lot of eyes and everything like that, and she's going completely and utterly nuts because of what the villagers have done to her mother. Now granted, what they have done to her would pretty much make anybody else just the emotions and the informational overload of like, you took someone from my family and you made them into a house and you used them like this, and it's fucked up. And she starts like going and like ripping and tearing people apart, but then the monsters from the abyss start moving in and start beating the shit out of her as well, as the villagers are like, fuck, and they're getting eaten by the monsters. It's a whole kind of crazy mess, but we see that Belov sees what's kind of going on and decides to release Nanachi, knows that the village is kind of going down, and decides to kind of go and release his memories to Fafta to give her more of an understanding of what's kind of been going on. And then she kind of gets fucked up, but the villagers start offering themselves to her to heal her. and then she becomes more of her kind of form as she then starts to defend and defeat the other kind of monsters, but then kind of tempers from vengeance to like complete and utter just hardcore vengeance to a kind. I hesitate to say that she tries to balance it a little bit more. I don't know if she exactly succeeds to the way that I would prefer it, saying that the villagers need to offer themselves, but she asks at least, and they do want to atone as Majikaja helps to like get Riko and Nanachi and like Reg out of there, and Fafta's pretty much destroying the village. I'm kind of glossing, well, not glossing over, but like certain kind of stuff kind of happens that's like, this is the kind of main kind of beats and how they kind of work or don't, you know what I mean? We also see that Waco was pretty much being taken down by Wazukian for some fucked up reason, but then she's trying to go up to Fafta to kind of talk to her, but she gets hit with the curse because, of course, Iramuri's body is open and the curse is coming in, and she's kind of hollowed a little bit, but she is able to tell Fafta all about this stuff of Iramuri, and that her Waco must have meant a lot to Iramuri because she never got any memories from her mother of Waco, and she then passes away as Iramuri was pretty much destroyed by Fafta as well, and they decide to bury her, and Reg offers for her to come with them on their adventures as they continue on in the abyss, and Fafta is kind of, she says that she'll think about it because Reg has not remembered the promise and kind of fought against her to stop her. Like, there are better ways of like doing what needed to be done to get rid of the village, because it's a kind of nutty, crazy ass scenario of they made her into a house, but the thing is they cannot exist without that house. It's kind of like, okay, you'd have to, what you did is wrong, and now you got to choose pretty much dying for what you've kind of done, because Iramuri deserves to be free, and if she died, like, to pass on. Same with Waco. It's like, it's nutty of like how that kind of whole kind of scenario, there's no easy solution, and I'm glad that it really wasn't presented as one. It's just really, really fucked up and really, really dark, and I don't mind those kind of things, but that's just kind of how plotting it's become, and I'm like, this is kind of fucked up for me. I don't know if I want to kind of continue on with it. I'm like, it was just disturbing to me, and I don't think it's bad, but, and they do enough kind of stuff to kind of bring levity of what's kind of going on, but these are like really young children dealing with these crazy ass scenarios. It's just like, I can acknowledge that the animation is good, the story writing is good, they present this situation as seriously as it needs to be, because this is fucked up, but it's not really my kind of bag. I don't mind fucked up kind of situations, but I need kind of a little bit more balance, because I'm just like, it just keeps getting worse. Like, as they keep going into this abyss, like, oh god, what the fuck's going to be happening with, like, the seventh, or what other kind of layers would be going on? So, at the moment, I really wouldn't think of reviewing a Season 3. Not that it would be bad or anything like that. If they keep up the animation quality and the storying and the are able to adapt the stories from the manga very well, I would assume that anybody that really loves Made in Abyss would love that as well. And I do think that if you're into Made in the Abyss, you would like this season as well. It just got too fucked up for me. And I'll have to think about it some more if I want to review Season 3 whenever it comes out, or if I'm just like, especially if it would come on Toonami. Like, if it comes on Toonami, okay, cool, I might just watch it for enjoyment, or maybe a review, but that's kind of how it works out. Like, if I'm able to get a decent access to it, I'll at least check it out and see kind of what goes on with it. But yeah, this was definitely an interesting season to review for me, because I acknowledge that it's good, but it's really not something that I like. And that doesn't mean that, since I don't like it, that doesn't mean it's not bad. Like, that doesn't mean it's bad, you know what I mean? And just because it's good doesn't mean I like it. It's a really kind of interesting kind of thing for me to kind of deal with and to explain in a review. But if you're into the characters and the plot developments and the action, you'll definitely be pleased with this season. So those are my opinions on the season. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.